This book is called The Rise and Fall of Mad Silver Jaxton, and it is about a mad dictator of Britain. In this surreal political farce, a furious Yorkshireman, his mind already warped by tragedy and family feuding, shifts his muscular hulk south to London. A homophobe and a raging hypochondriac, he takes his blood pressure at least 20 times a day with a machine that he likens to a cross carried on a medieval martyr's back. This fascinating, if disrupted man is Donovan Jaxton. He becomes a dictator, not in a racist sense, but desiring, in addition to the abolition of unemployment, the triumph of the decent over the rotten, the frail over the vicious, and wholesomeness over decay. Though capable of extreme cruelty, Jaxton is vulnerable, brutally eccentric, and sometimes even lovable. He likes objects of silver, ranging from the flags of his party to the latrines of his workers. That is why he is addressed as Silver Leader. But this roguish leader is not invincible, and his ruin is engineered by his indulgence of his beautiful but evil daughter, Julia Miranda, with whom he has an incestuous relationship. And there's one review here which says, "This time Eleanor Berry tries her versatile hand at politics, her sparkling wit and the reader's desire to turn the page are still in evidence. Eleanor Berry is unique," and the person who wrote that was Peter F. Saunderson, the South London Review. Now I'm going to read some sections from this book. You know that Donovan Jaxton was absolutely obsessed by taking his blood pressure wherever he was, even when he was before crowds, and even when he was on television, and even when he was addressing the masses. And this says, this was when he was addressing an audience on television. He was carrying his blood pressure machine with him. He carried it everywhere. He even took it out of his briefcase and put it on the rostrum. The crowd was baffled and silent. Those unable to see it close up thought that it might be a new scientific invention pioneered by Jaxton himself. Jaxton took off his jacket and laid it on the floor of the platform. He unbuttoned his sleeve and rolled it up above the elbow. He unravelled the cuff, which had also been rolled up. He pushed the cuff onto the upper part of his left arm, which remained black with bruising due to overuse. With his right hand he pumped and pumped and pumped until he lost all sensation in his left arm. He gazed at the machine and watched the line of mercury rise. He noticed his dumbfounded audience mistaking their astonishment for unquestioning adulation. He watched the mercury go higher and exploded with an orgasm of happiness. 220 over 140, he shouted. The majority of his listeners were at a loss to understand what he was referring to. A small contingent of the crowd thought that he was speaking about an increased production of hangman's nooses. A few chanted 220 over 140, repeating his words. Some chanted, yes, 220 this year and over 140 last year, thanks to our beloved Silver Leader. The chanting increased. More and more jubilant people joined in. The entire crowd was mesmerized. Another surge of mania swept through Jaxton. He pumped up the machine again. Within 5 minutes, and his blood pressure was even higher. 240 over 150, he shouted. 240 over 150, the crowd shouted back. Jaxton picked up the machine and waved it in the air. "Oh, my beloved people, my people, see how the mercury has risen. Long live the glorious increase in the refining of our country's mercury," roared the crowd. This is another extract, a shorter extract this time, from The Rise and Fall of Mad Silver Jaxton. Now, as you probably know, Donovan Jaxton and his evil daughter Julia are both dictators. And after Jaxton is murdered, an 18-year-old boy falls in love with Julia, who is in fact rather nice to him. And the 18-year-old boy is travelling on a train, accompanied by a lot of soldiers who are all drunk, and the 18-year-old boy has written a book about Julia called My Julia's Country. And one soldier says, "Listen to this, boys. This man's a certified raving basket case. Listen to how he's described people living under the Jaxtons. Alike were they free from fear that reigns with the tyrant, and envy the vice of republics. But their dwellings were open as day in the hearts of their owners. There the richest were poor, and the poorest lived in abundance." That's a quotation from Longfellow's Evangeline. And then the soldiers start singing a somewhat ribald song in order to shock the 18-year-old boy. And it goes like this. I'm not going to sing it, I'm only going to recite it. Oh Father, I've come to confess. I've left a young girl in a hell of a mess. I ripped off her bra and her buttocks were bare. I left something inside her that shouldn't be there. Oh son, you should have known better, that to screw a young woman without a French letter. Oh Father, you do me unjust. I nicked one of yours and the fucking thing bust. That's it for this extract. I do enjoy your reading.